and the Honorable Raul Tupas of these committees, my dear colleagues, and our resource speakers who are around. Mr. Mr. Chairman, napaka-importante po ng mga resolution na ito, na concurrent resolutions concurring with the amnesty declaration of the President. Marami na po tayong nagawang amnestia, pero sana po sa ngayong panahon ay matugunan natin ang pansin kung ano ang root causes ng insurgency at ng konflikto sa ating bansa para sana ito yung last na amnesty na gagawin ng ating bayan. Mr. Chairpersons, it was the Prussian General Karl von Clausewitz who famously said in an understatement, and I quote, "War is nothing but a continuation of politics with a mixture of other means," end of quote. By which he meant that when our political passions and beliefs go out of bounds, war is the inevitable result. Unfortunately, Mr. Chairpersons, that admixture often includes the terrible reality of violence. Violence committed directly by and between the clashing forces, and worst of all, violence is committed against innocent civilians. Mr. Chairpersons, I am a native of the province of Eastern Samar. My home province was one of the active fronts of insurgency and counterinsurgency, especially in the 1970s and the 1980s. My very own eyes of a child and later on a young man, saw the horrors of war floating down our rivers, results of encounters between government forces and the insurgents. President Bongbong Marcos has offered through proclamation numbers 403, 404, 405, and 406 amnesty to specific sectors in Philippine society who have committed crimes in the pursuit of or in furtherance of their political beliefs. Barely a week after, President announced an agreement to resume the long frozen peace negotiations with the CPP in the F. Mr. Chairman, I express my full and unwavering support for these peace initiatives of the President. The President is extending the hand of peace and reconciliation to various warring forces in our country, past and present. Any chance, no matter how slim, for a long and lasting and just peace in our country must be pursued with vigor as the most viable alternative to prolonged and internecine warfare. The bottom line, Mr. Chairpersons, is that in spite of our varying and at times conflicting political differences, we are all Filipinos. We are all in the same ship. And the only way for us to truly move on and move forward is for all of us to work together as a people. In other words, in the words of an English songwriter, I quote, "All we are saying is give peace a chance." End of quote. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Minority Leader. The Minority Leader has delivered the sponsored speech of all the concurrent resolutions number 19, 20, 21, and 22. So you had it all, Minority Leader. Sinolo mo lahat.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So thank you. We now move on to our resource persons to give their comments and recommendation, accepting violent one.
Good morning, President Chair, Charon, Chairperson Tupas, and the members of this August Committee. I'm Senior Deputy Executive Secretary Hubert Guevara. of the Office of the Executive Secretary. I would like to first apologize on behalf of the Executive Secretary for his non-attendance. He has a equally important meeting to attend to as well. So I was advised to uh, attend on his behalf. We don't have a prepared speech for this meeting, Your Honors, but I would like to pass on the mic if it's okay with the chairpersons to Secretary Galvez because he has a prepared speech for this meeting. Thank you.
Uh, on the part of the executive secretary, would you have any statement that would, of course, bind your office and not the office of the Secretary Galvez? Is there anything you can say about this?
Yeah, yes. Of course, the thrust of the president is always peace, unity, and reconciliation. It's the reason why we want these proclamations passed as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary. We now proceed to the Secretary Galvez. Now is really your time.
Honorable members of the Congress led by the presiding officer, Congressman Loreto Acharon, sir, and also our fellow cavalier, the Committee Chair on Defense, Congressman Raul Boboy Situpa, sir. To all the and also to our honorable minority leader, Honorable Marcelino Libanan, and all the august member of this body, fellow civil servants, our countrymen, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all. Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. First of all, I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to the august body headed by our honorable speaker, Martin G. Romualdez, for our deepest gratitude for starting its deliberation on the granting of the congressional concurrence to the amnesty proclamation issued by the President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. for former rebels. We would like to extend our profoundest gratitude for inviting us to this hearing and allowing us to participate in this discussion. House Concurrent Resolutions number 19, 20, 21, and 22, which concur the presidential proclamations number 403, 404, 405, and 406 in providing amnesty to members of the Revolutionary Proletariat Army or Alex Boncayo Brigade or RPMP, RPAABB, the Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army, the National Democratic Front, NDF, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, and the Moro National Liberation Front, or the MNLF, are a testament of the House of Representatives' full support to the administration peace, reconciliation, and unity agenda. Your honors, our dear lawmakers, the granting of amnesty is an integral part of the comprehensive peace process. It is a path toward normalization that would allow these former rebels not only to fully reintegrate themselves into mainstream society as peaceful, productive, and law-abiding citizens, but more importantly, enable them to rebuild their lives and ensure a better future for themselves and their families. Moreover, through the government's amnesty program, which is among the confidence-building measures under the National Task Force for Ending Local Communist Armed Conflict, Local Peace Engagement Framework, and the Normalization Program under the Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro, we want to demonstrate to these former rebels that they have made the right decision in laying down their arms and returning to the folds of the law. We want to show them that the good things come to those who choose to walk to the path of peace. Your honors, yours truly, and the Presidential Assistant Wilben Mayor and Colonel Ariel Corbin, who are seated today in this hearing, are a living proof of how granting amnesty can turn around the lives of individuals. Having been granted amnesty during the administration of former President Fidel V. Ramos, we have realized that armed struggle shall not, in a way, address the challenges confronting our nation. It is only by being a part of the solution and that is by being an advocate of peace that has allowed us help bring positive and meaningful change to our country. And so we humbly call on our highly esteemed members of Congress to please support the Marcos administration peace, reconciliation, and unity agenda by ensuring the passage of House Concurrence Resolutions number 19, 20, 21, and 22. We strongly believe that the government will be able to push forward, build and sustain the gains of peace throughout our nation. The granting of amnesty is a clear and strong manifestation of the President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., steadfast commitment to realize the national reconciliation and unity among our people. And for our Filipino brothers and sisters who want to avail of amnesty, this is now your opportunity to finally build a peaceful, productive, and comfortable life for you and for your families, which all of you rightfully deserve. I would like to end a quote from the great French writer and politician Victor Hugo, who said, "Amnesty is as good for those who give it as for those who receive it. Has the admirable quality of bestowing mercy on both sides." Once again, thank you for inviting us to this congressional hearing and allowing us to share our views with you. Maraming salamat at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you, Secretary Galvez. May I request my colleagues to propound your questions after all the resource persons that have delivered their own comments and recommendations, so as to make an orderly process of our meeting today. Of course, without depriving the chairman, both chairmen, to interject little in short in between questions to the resource speakers. That should be a privilege to the both presiding officers. So may we now proceed to the Department of Justice, represented today by, please identify yourself, ma'am.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, members of this esteemed committee. I am Assistant Secretary Anika Granong from the Department of Justice.
By the way, where is your secretary? Sir?
He's in the office, Mr. Chairperson.
He would not want to appear here?
No, I was assigned, sir, to attend because he's attending to some equally important obligations and meetings.
Okay, we will accept that in the meantime.
Yes. Honorable chairpersons and the members of this committee, the Department of Justice, headed by our Secretary Jesus Crispin C. Remulla, and as an ex officio member of the National Amnesty Commission, we fully support the recent executive order and the proclamations by the President granting amnesty to various rebels and insurgent groups in the country. We affirm our commitment to the rule of law and understand the necessity of these measures in fostering peace and national reconciliation. The proclamations are a significant step towards lasting peace, and the DOJ is prepared to work closely with the National Amnesty Commission in processing applications for amnesty under the new proclamations. The President's proclamations extend to members of the RRMP, RPA, ABB, or the Revolusyonarong Partido ng Manggagawang ng Pilipinas, Revolutionary Proletarian Army, Alex Bongcayaw Brigade, the members of the MILF or the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, and the MNLF, Moro National Liberation Front, as well as former members of the Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army, NDF, or National Democratic Front. These proclamations grant amnesty to these groups for crimes committed in furtherance of their political beliefs, thereby encouraging them to reintegrate into society and contribute positively to the nation's progress. However, the DOJ notes that these proclamations do not extend to heinous crimes such as kidnap for ransom, massacre, rape, terrorism, and other gross violations of human rights. The DOJ will continue to enforce the law and ensure justice for the victims of these heinous crimes. The department also reaffirms its commitment to uphold the rule of law and the administration's peace initiatives. We will work tirelessly to ensure that the amnesty process is fair, transparent, and respectful of the rights of all parties involved. We believe that this historic move by President Marcos will usher in a new era of peace and reconciliation in the Philippines, and the DOJ is committed to supporting this initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary. Assistant Secretary, did you receive or did you furnish us a copy of your statement or your position paper?
Not yet, Honorable Chairperson.
you-
We will submit.
Thank you very much, ASEC. So we'll now proceed to call on our representative from the DILG. I think the Secretary Abalos, my
Magandang
law
umaga
school
po.
classmate, is not here.
Magandang umaga po sa lahat po, sa ating pong chairperson,
Okay.
Representative Atcharon, chairperson Tupas po, at sa lahat ng miyembro po ng Joint Committee. Ipagpaumanhin po ninyo ang aming pong sekretaryo si Benhur Abalos ay nasa Dubai po ngayon sa official trip po, kaya ako po ang naging representative po ngayon. Bilang miyembro po ng ehekutibo, ang aming pong departamento ay buong suporta sa ating pong Presidente Ferdinand Marcos sa kanyang pong programa, Peace Agenda. Kaya nandito po kami. Una po nagpapasalamat po kami sa committee po at pinapakita po ninyong buong suporta po sa ating pong Pangulo at sana po ay maging senyalis po ito ng lahat po ng ating sa Kongreso na bigyan po natin ng full support ito pong peace agenda po ng ating Pangulo. Alam po naman lahat po ninyo na ang nakikinabang po rito ay ang ating komunidad bilang official ng Department of Interior Local Government. Ramdam po namin na ang kapayapaan po sa komunidad ay malaking bagay po para po magkaroon po ng development ang ating mga communities na matagal na po nating lahat na pangarap na magkaroon ng full development. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. We will reserve the questions to the resource persons as we will have time after the delivery of message of our resource persons. We now call on the representative from the CHR. The committee, is there anyone? Thank you. Please identify yourself.
I am Attorney Erwin Caliba from the Policy Advisory Office of the Commission on Human Rights. Mr. Chair and of the two committees and mga miyembro po and all congressmen and women who are here, good morning. Una ho, paumanhin at hindi rin po nakadalo ang aming tagapangulo ng Komisyon sa mga Karapatang Pantao. Okay. While it is true that accountability must be pursued for crimes and violations of human rights, international law allows states some discretion with respect to considering amnesties. There is no international treaty prohibiting amnesties. In fact, Article 6, Paragraph 5 of the Additional Protocol 2 to Geneva Convention of 1949, referring to non-international armed conflicts, encourages a state to grant amnesties at the end of hostilities, and this is reiterated in international humanitarian law. However, amnesties must not include those crimes prohibited under treaties such as genocide, grave breaches of Geneva Conventions, tortures, and enforced disappearances, which are reflected in the resolutions and the proclamations. Relative thereto, the Commission on Human Rights support the grant of amnesties to qualified members of the RPMP, RPA, and ABB, former members of the CPP, NPA, NDF, members of MILF, and MNNLF. The Commission does not interpose any objection to concurrent resolution numbers 19, 20, 21, and 22, especially amnesty covering crimes that are committed in pursuit of rebellion and political offenses. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. May I now call my co-chair, the Honorable Ruby Tupas, to call his own resource persons. Maybe the Committee on Justice is not as lucky as you are, because all our resource persons are represented by not by their authorized representatives, but not by the head of the departments. I am not believing, although, that there is a design not to attend today's committee hearing by your department heads. So anyway, co-chair, it's now your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I call on the representatives or heads of the agencies under the security sector, may I first acknowledge another member of the committee for the majority who is here right now from the 2nd District of Misamis Oriental, Honorable Yevgeny Vicente Imano. Thank you. Thank you po. For the DND, may we call the representative of Secretary Gibo Chodoro in the person of ASEC Eric Lawrence D. Please.
To the honorable members of this joint committee, magandang umaga po. The Secretary Teodoro extends his apologies for not being able to attend today, as he is currently under the weather. In fact, he took a half day yesterday po. But Mr. Chair, may I be allowed to read his statement on this matter?
Yes, you may proceed.
The Department of National Defense welcomes the granting of amnesty by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. to eligible members of different rebels and insurgent groups who may have committed crimes in pursuit of their political beliefs. The issuance of Executive Order number 47, series of 2023, together with the proclamation numbers 403, 404, 405, and 406, are a testament to the commitment of the Marcos administration to sustaining our gains in our internal security and stability. The department is fully behind the government's concerted efforts to advance reconciliation and healing from the armed conflicts that has divided our nation for far too long. The granting of amnesty offers an invaluable opportunity for our brothers and sisters to transform their lives, avail government services, and rejoin their families and communities. The department hopes for the support of all Filipinos in this endeavor, and we shall work closely with the National Amnesty Commission for the full implementation of these proclamations aimed at rebuilding lives and nurturing lasting peace for all. Maraming salamat po.
Salamat po. Maraming salamat, ASEC D. For the National Security Council and on behalf of Secretary Ed Anyo, and for the position of the NSC, may we call on USEC Ernesto Torres Jr.
Honorable Chair, Your Honors, distinguished resource persons, guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am USEC Ernesto Torres Jr., the Executive Director of NTF-ELCAC, and I'm here to represent the National Security Advisor. He sends his apologies for not being able to be here physically. He was headed to Marawi this morning, sir, to look into the bombing incident that transpired there recently. And on his behalf, I would like to express our concurrence to the House current resolutions numbers 19, 20, and 21 in relation to proclamations, amnesty proclamations 403, 404, 405, and 406. And with this concurrence, Your Honors, is the commitment of support of the National Security Council for the successful implementation of the amnesty proclamations in order to attain lasting peace and sustainable and inclusive development. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, USEC Torres. Salamat po. For the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, And on behalf of Director General Ricardo De Leon, may we call on Assistant Director Manuel Orduna.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Mr. Chair, Your Honor, sa ADG Manny Orduña po ng NICA. In behalf of the NICA Director General, Ricardo F. De Leon, who is currently attending to equally important matter related to the Marawi incident, may I convey the agency's utmost support and cooperation to House Concurrent Resolution numbers 19, 20, 21, and 22, concurring with the Presidential Proclamation numbers 403, 404, 405, and 406, extending amnesty to individuals belonging to groups as respectively stipulated thereof. Noting that such extension of amnesty excludes crimes such as kidnap for ransom, massacres, rape, terrorism, offenses committed against chastity as defined in the revised penal code, crimes for personal gains, violation of the Comprehensive Dangerous Act of 2002, severe breaches of the Geneva Convention of 1949, as well as genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, torture, enforced disappearances, and other severe human rights violations. As stated in the proclamations and House concurrent resolutions granting amnesty to these organizations, we believe that it will pave the way for the beneficiaries to reintegrate in the society and resolve the armed conflict. Maraming salamat po.
So, salamat po, Director Orduna. Thank you po. For the stand of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and on behalf of the Chief of Staff, General Romeo Bronner, Captain Marcel Kim Dimaporo is recognized.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, Your Honors, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be with us all. I am Captain Dimaporo, Philippine Navy MNSA, the Chief of the AFP Peace and Development Office. I'll be representing the Chief of Staff Armed Forces of the Philippines for this joint meeting. General Romeo S. Bronner, Philippine Army. First of all, I'd like to extend our sincerest gratitude for this invitation, and may I be allowed to read the statement of the Chief of Staff Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Yes, please.
Quote, the Armed Forces of the Philippines supports and welcomes the grant of amnesty to members of the Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army, National Democratic Front, Revolutionaryong Partido ng Manggagawang ng Pilipinas, Revolutionary Proletarian Army, the Alex Bunkel Brigade, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, MILF, and Moro National Liberation Front, MNLF. We believe that this is a significant step toward ending all armed conflicts in the country and delivering just and lasting peace in our communities. Granting amnesty brings closure to hostilities and is in line with the government's call for peace, unity, and reconciliation, and push forward for lasting amity among Filipinos. The AFP is confident that the administration's grant of amnesty will promote an atmosphere of conducive to the attainment of a just, comprehensive, and enduring equanimity as we collectively address other pressing challenges to our country. We hope that the remaining members of these armed groups will accept the government's comprehensive peace initiatives and use them to return to the folds of law and become productive members of the mainstream society, unquote. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Navy Captain Dimaporo. Salamat po. For the PNP naman po, on behalf of Police General Benjamin Acorda Jr., may we call on Police Brigadier General Percival Placer. You may proceed, sir.
To the honorable chairpersons of the House Committees on Justice and National Defense and Security, distinguished members of this august body, resource persons, fellow public servants, and to everyone, good day. Please allow me to read the message of support of the Philippine National Police in behalf of the Chief PNP, who is now attending the concerns on the recent Marawi bombing. Sir. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on November 22, 2023 has signed proclamations numbers 403, 404, 405, and 406, constituting the granting of amnesty to former rebel groups, namely the RPMP, RPA-EBB, CPP-NPA-NDF, the MILF, and the MNLF. The President had spoken. Amnesty shall be made available to former rebels. With the concurring resolutions for the corresponding issuances, the co-equal branch of the government in the House of Representatives, through the able leadership of House Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, and the members of the 19th Congress have effectively discharged its constitutional duty entrusted to it by the Filipino people. The PNP, as the advocate of peace and positive change, fully supports the move of the Chief Executive and signify our full commitment towards the realization of this humble objective in achieving just and lasting peace and genuine reconciliation to those who have willingly laid down their arms and come forward to embrace democracy. The entire organization of 228,000 strong men and women of the PNP unites with the nation and the common aspiration of our people desiring for a genuine societal transformation towards peace and development in conflict-affected areas and poor communities where armed struggle thrives, welcoming them as they return to the folds of the law. Surely, this will create significant impact on the domestic front, conflict landscape of the country that will shape crucial development to entice former rebels to surrender and give up their armed struggle and cease violence and atrocities, thereby realizing the end state where just and peaceful society reigns. Thank you po and magandang umaga po ulit sa lahat.
Maraming salamat po, Police General Placer. At this point, may we call on somebody who is considered as a living legend in the security sector. He is a recipient not once but twice of the amnesty proclamation, but more importantly, he is a classmate and a member of the same class of our distinguished minority leader, the matapat class of 1979. Can we hear some of your thoughts, sir, just to share to the members of the committee the importance of an amnesty proclamation? Sir, Colonel Ariel Quirobin, you are recognized.
The Honorable Loreto Charon, the other chairperson, Honorable Raul Tupas, and my esteemed classmate, Honorable Nonoy Libanan, other esteemed members of this of Congress. Thank you very much for this invitation. But allow me to share with you my past. I was a student activist before martial law was declared. I was a member of the SADECA, Samahan Demokratikong Kabataan. But when martial law was declared in 1972, I took the entrance exam of PMA. Because early on, I realized that my being an activist, being idealist, is being exploited by the extreme left. So I wasn't wrong when I opted to enter PMA. So that is my past. So I have fought all the armed groups in the Philippines in actual combat, not once, but on several occasions. The CPP-NPA, the MNLF, the MILF, the Abu Sayyaf. But they became my friends later on when I became a rebel myself. And my most formidable enemy was, of course, the armed forces. Because it was the armed forces who really pushed me to my limits. So when I assaulted Camp Aguinaldo, I landed at the Quirino Labor Hospital. I was dead. Last December 3 was my 34th year of borrowed life. And then later on, I was given my first amnesty. It was given by the president, by President Ramos. I appeared again during this kind of hearing for my second amnesty. And this time, the late Senator Joker Arroyo even asked, the chairman then was Senator Gingona, that he said, Mr. Chairman, your honors, why are we going to give these people amnesty? They are recidivists. Referring to Colonel Kerubin and General Danny Lim. So I was asked, I was requested by Senator Drilon to probably share with the August Chamber what did I do after I was given my first amnesty. Was I productive officer? In fact, when I was released, December Eve of 1992, Christmas Eve, right after the Marines, 21 Marines were massacred in Tuboran, Basilan, I wasn't receiving my pay and allowances. But when the commandant then, General Cabanlig, saw me, let's send Ariel anyway, he is war freak. Let's send him to Basilan. So I really struggled. I exerted all efforts, all my best to be back in the mainstream of my military career. Accomplishments after accomplishments after accomplishments. But still, the process was so long. So before I got my first amnesty, I decided to leave the service. I was in the States. I went with Senator Honasan in his one of his junkets to the States, and I decided not to go back anymore. And then I was informed, the Secretary of National Defense then was Secretary Abad. The executive assistant said, "Sir, you return because there's an executive order putting you back in the mainstream of your military. I mean, your ranking in the lineal list." I was a captain. My classmates were lieutenant colonels. I was promoted captain just 4 years after graduation, way ahead of my classmates. But because of my principles, because I was ready to die with, fighting for my principle. My next promotion was 14 long years later. I didn't wear my rank as a major, but when I got back as a lieutenant colonel, because of my numerous accomplishments, I was designated the first brigade commander in the class and would have been the first general. I was a brigade commander in Marawi. But again, I have to take the cudgels from my officers and men who allegedly were ordered to do something illegal. So in that process, again, I was sidelined, jailed for 4.5 years. So I lost a promising military career, sacrificed my family, But probably God has other purpose for me. He took away my freedom for me to realize that career is not everything in life. So I have 7 children to take care of. But they're now all professionals. So all my awards pale in comparison with what I have accomplished as a father. Being given 2 amnesties. So meaning I am with the president in his aspiration really that our country should be united. We should be, we have differences, no? But we should unite for us to progress. And being an activist, I really agree with my because they're all my friends now. That for as long as they sad to say that they are no longer ideologues, but they thrive on issues such as corruption, unemployment, poverty, police brutality, military abuses. Insurgency will persist. So, all these talks and everything, as I've been saying, it can only be achieved probably if on the part of the government also, it should shape up. Meaning, address all the root causes. Because I really believe in what I've been through, that the best antidote really to insurgency, violent extremism, and even terrorism is good governance, aided, of course, by a well-disciplined military, men in uniform, no police brutalities, no military abuses. Thank you very much, sirs.
Maraming salamat po, Sir Ariel. Indeed, you are an inspiration to all of us, and your combat service record is still unmatched until this day po, ang balita lang from the military. So maraming salamat for coming over and sharing your exploits. Before I turn over the chairmanship to Honorable Loreto Acheron, our presiding officer, Honorable Kaimer Adan Olaso, thank you, from First District of Zamboanga City, Ino D, distinguished member of the House, Honorable David.
Thank you, Co-Chair. Again, thank you, Colonel Kirubin, for your captain of the Philippine Army in 1994, created by him. A sign of sense of Deputy Majority Leader, therefore being here. And so the floor is now open for deliberation, starting with our Minority Leader before the Honorable Libanan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, napaka-importante po ng pinag-uusapan po natin at ang kahalagan ng amnestia ay makikita natin sa ating pagpupulong na ito. Nagsalita ang aking mista, si Colonel Ariel Kerubin, sa kanyang naging experience at ang kanyang recommendation. Nakita po natin na from being an active participant in overthrowing the government, now he is again in the world of the law, and nagpapakita ng kanyang galing para naman sa ating bansa. On the other side naman, siya nasa extreme right. Ang isa naman nasa extreme left, dating minority leader natin, si Congressman Caraps Paduano, na siya ngayon ay chairman ng Committee on Public Accounts. Napakahalaga yung kanyang walang pahinga po yan, si Chairman Caraps Paduano. He was one of the leaders of RPMP, RPABB ng Negros, and yung kanyang grupo ay binigyan din ng amnestia. At ngayon na third termer na congressman na, graduating na. Napaka-importante po na binibigyan natin ng pagkakataon dahil may mga kanya-kanyang reasons ito at Ah, ang mahalaga po dito ay may paraan ng ating gobyerno para malunasan ang mga roon natin ng mga konflikto. Ang gusto ko pong itanong, Mr. Chairman, dahil walang problema tayo kay Colonel Corbin at kay Kong Karaps dahil magagaling talaga yan. May mga nag-rebelde po tayo na walang ibang natutunan kundi mag-rebelde na lang. Makipag-away na lang. Ibig sabihin, pag binigyan natin ng amnestiya ito, may proseso tayong dapat gawin. Maturuan sila ng maalalayan sa kanilang hanap buhay, mabigyan ng bahay dahil walang mga bahay ang mga ito eh. Yung pamilya, anong suporta natin sa kanilang pamilya, anong hanap buhay, at yung social integration ng mga programa para maibalik sila at matuto silang mamuhay sa isang peaceful and progressive community. Mayroon ba tayong, kung sakali ipasa natin ito, because kailangan natin hindi na lang amnesty ng amnesty. Lahat ng root causes dito at saka integration ng ating mga tao ay masuportahan natin. Mayroon ba tayong programa pagkatapos po nito? Mr. Chairman.
Question is addressed to
Kung pwede sa ating National Amnesty Commission at saka kay Secretary Galvez. By the way, isa lang ang secretary na nandito, Mr. Chairman.
yes. So
Kaya,
we're very thankful.
Palakpakan po natin. Mukhang si Secretary Galvez ang sumiseryoso po nito.
I heard that he came from Marawi and then
Oh.
came back for this very important committee meeting today.
Do the peace process and also sponsor the proclamation. Your Honors, Mr. Chairman, and also the August Body, the government has a very concrete and comprehensive preparation for the transformation and normalization of our combatants, their families, and the communities. Basically, we have a transformation roadmap and normalization process for the MILF and the MNLF. In fact, also we have also very successful template for the RPA-ABB, and also our good congressman here, Representative Stephen Paduano, is one of our champion in getting some funds on this transformation roadmap. In fact, the normalization of the RPA-ABB has been localized already with the province of Aklan and also Negros, wherein the normalization has been implemented by different governors. Our late governor of Negros and also our current governor, Milla Flores. And the funding that we are giving to the former combatants and their families, and also the community, number one is the unconditional cash transfer being provided by the DSWD. And they are being handheld by the DSWD in terms of for peace and other social development program. Our partner, together with the Department of Agriculture and also other agencies, also provided support. In fact, the MILF has an initial cash transfer of 100,000 each combatant. And now we are transforming the 6 camps of the MNLF and the MILF with the transformation of number one is Camp Pilal in Lanao del Norte, wherein 200 square kilometers of 200 square kilometers of the land will be converted into a village with more or less 400 housing facilities. In Kapatiran, we are also providing a lot of support. We have already provided cash support, and we were able also to initiate some livelihood programs. In fact, DNR already provided more or less 500 to 1,000 hectares of coconut plantation, and they now own a coconut oil mill being provided by the local government and also by the AC, the Spanish government. So, Your Honors, accompanying amnesty is the transformation roadmap and normalization roadmap. It will go even beyond 5 to 10 years. because the transformation roadmap includes the changing of the mindset and the changing of lives of former combatants, their family and community. And we would like to thank also the Congress because the Congress supported our 5 billion Pamana project, which is basically, this is for the housing, for the livelihood, for the water system, and also basic life support for the families and also for the community being affected by conflict. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Please continue.
I'm glad that you have these programs for our would-be recipient of the amnesty. Do you have a specific program also for the three provinces of Samar? Dahil napakarami tayong mag-a-avail niyan.
Yes, sir. Actually, the most focus areas that we are now giving are those areas that had been previously affected by communist terrorists and also by other rebel group. In fact, one of our focus area is Samar, Bicol, Region 11, and also the BARM. We also gather some support from the business sector. In fact, Secretary Guevara has brought forth the support of Secretary Federico in order to invest on the BARM. And we have also gathered some core group from the conglomerates that we have mobilized during COVID-19. And they are more than willing to support because the whole of government, whole of nation approach should be given emphasis on this transformation, considering the sustainability of this transformation roadmap is anchored on the capability of the families to gain, provide revenues for themselves and also for the community.
Thank you, Secretary Carlito Galvez, na napakagaling nating secretary sa APAP. Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask now our PNP and the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Alam niyo po, sa naging konflikto po natin, marami tayong sundalo na walang iba ring ginawa natin kundi i-train natin para lumaban sa mga rebelde. At marami sa kanilang ganun ang mindset, pati na yung mga PNP natin. Ibig sabihin, habang prinoproseso natin ang ating mga recipient, would-be recipient ng amnestiya, kailangan din may programa tayo sa ating kasundaluhan. Kasi hindi mo basta-basta mapahinto yan eh. Kailangan may programa sa kanila. Kasi sa ngayon, lahat ng ginawa nila, talunin ang kalaban. Ano ang gagawin kung mayroon man ang ating Armed Forces of the Philippines sa ating mga kasundaluhan? Kasi kahit sinabi nating amnestiya, may nagsabotahe dyan, magsisimula na naman yung away. Can the Armed Forces of the Philippines respond to this question, Mr. Chairman?
General, please respond.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, thank you for that question. One of the manifestations of the support, the robust support of the Armed Forces of the Philippines in our peace efforts, governance peace effort, is the creation of my office, the AP Peace and Development Office. The Armed Forces of the Philippines is continuously professionalizing. And we have been indoctrinating the values of honor, service, and patriotism. And we are aware that peace is our inherent mission and our distinct purpose. So I believe that the Armed Forces of the Philippines is ready and will support whatever the peace agenda of the government. Thank you so much, sirs.
Mr. Chairman, ang ibig kong sabihin, hindi lang support, pero specific na programa na gagawin ng Armed Forces of the Philippines para sa ating mga sundalo. Example, sa Samar, walang nakakaintindi ng komunista noon, pero nung pumasok yung sundalo, maraming sundalo pinambubugbog yung mga barangay people. Di wala nang ibang alternatibo, di lumaban na lang. Ngayon, nandun tayo sa sitwasyon ngayon na ang ating maraming sundalo ay ginagampanan yung kanilang tungkulin para sugpuin ang kalaban. Ngayon sasabihin natin, break tayo, may peace talks tayo. Kailangan iproseso din natin ang ating kasundaluhan at ating mga pulis, ma-equip sila ng tamang tools na hindi na ito away. kaibigan na ito. Kailangan mag-reach out tayo. Secretary Galvez, do you have an answer for that question?
Sir, actually, sir, we would like to thank the NTF-ELCAC and also the Armed Forces of the Philippines because without their support, the peace process will not be successful. In fact, sa normalization po, sir, maganda po ang ginagawa ng Armed Forces kasi through our Peace and Development Office at saka yung PNP, meron din silang Peace and Development Office. In fact, sila po, sa component po kasi ng normalization, we have 4 components. We have the tinatawag nating transitional security arrangement. We have the socio-economic, transitional justice and competence building. Sa sa tinatawag nating transitional security arrangement, sila po at saka yung police at saka yung MILF, meron po silang joint peace and security team. Ito po only in the Philippines na meron pong ganitong arrangement na isang unit makasama ang MILF, MNLF at saka po yung police. We have already have a lot of more than 46 JPST teams. Ang ginagawa po nito, ito po yung posisyon nito, yung sa mga tinatawag nating mga very positive na merong laman ng mga BIFF, mga Dawla, Islamia, at saka yung tinatawag nating mga areas na potential for possible conflict. Ang kagandahan po, ang Armed Forces of the Philippines natin ay sumunod po sa utos ng ating mahal na presidente. When I was still the YC, he gave a directive that they should transform as a warrior to peacemakers. And I believe the Chief of Staff, Jerry Browner, and his predecessor have already executed, and even beforehand, they executed already that the soldiers will be converted, like myself, as a soldier of peace. Meaning sila po yung nahandong po sa ibaba, and then they are also the one validating yung mga pamana projects po natin at saka yung ating mga proyekto na pangkalsada, sila po ang nagbabalidate na talagang kailangan po yun.
Mr. Chairman, maraming salamat sa answer na yan dahil napaka-importante po na hindi na lang soldiers of war at maging soldiers of peace na rin tayo pag ganito. Kasi pag hindi tayo dumaan ng proseso, ang gobyerno pwedeng sabihin, oh, nag-amnestiya, kaliwa na yan, MILF na yan, MNLF na yan. Pero sa totoo, obligasyon ng ating gobyerno magkaisa tayo, lalo na't may hinaharap tayong mas malalaking problema. Hindi na lang internal pero external problems na. Kaya bago tayo makalaban sa, hindi naman laban, makaharap at ma-solve natin ang ating external problem, kailangan magkaisa ang ating bansa. At ito yung paraan na mas lalo tayong lumakas. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chairman. Maraming salamat, Secretary Calvis, at saka sa ating Armed Forces.
Thank you, Minority Leader. We have a list. So before that, may I acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Jose Aquino of the First District of Agusan del Norte. Thank you. And also the Honorable EO Rodriguez, not the EO in Europe, because your name is Iulo Gio. Just for the record, Honorable Paduano.
A period of interpolation. This is just a manifestation with regards to the 4 proclamation. First, Mr. Chairman, my first statement will be addressed to those individuals or groups that opposes this amnesty proclamation. Well, I do respect dissenting opinion in this country. But I would just like to correct, especially those elected and appointed and career service officials of this government. Kasi po, these amnesty proclamations is part and parcel, not only the program of the government, but the commitment of the government. Since the time of Cory Aquino, former President Ramos, era Estrada, in which the RPMP, RPABB started the backdoor peace agreement during the time of then President, the late President Fidel Ramos. And we signed a document or an agreement during the time of then President Erap Estrada. In short, Mr. Chairman, dear colleagues, this is a commitment by the government. This is not just a mere program of the government, but this is a commitment by the government. And well, in fact, Mr. Chairman, and for the record, just to remind everyone and for those who are not part of the 18th Congress, then President Duterte also issued an amnesty proclamation. Unfortunately, yung application is only good for 1 year. And this proclamation now is just an implementation of the government commitments. And we as public servants should comply and support to that commitment of this government, because all peace agreement being signed represents the government of the Republic of the Philippines. In the case of NMLF, in the case of RPMP, RPABB, in the case of MILF, and in the case of former CPP, NPA members with a localized peace agreement. Because I know for the fact that, of course, not all recipients of this proclamation, regards to the former CPP, NPA, are product of the localized peace talks. But they are the product of the program of government, which the government and all of us should support and commit to it, because that is the commitment and program of this government and the previous governments. Well, in fact, Mr. Chairman, with due respect to all those leaders, political leaders, elected public officials, which opposes this presidential proclamation of the present administration, they should check where they stand. Because again, as a congressman, as a legislator, as an elected public official, we are bound to comply with our commitment with regards to peace agreement with all those rebel groups. And that includes not only these four. And the recent report now is the government of the Republic of the Philippines, and of course, the mainstream CPP, NPA, NDF, is now having not a backdoor because they have already signed a common statement. But I will not comment on that as of now. I will have to see the new framework with regards to what I fully support as a product of the peace agreement between the government and the rebel groups, just like my rebel brother, Colonel Corubin. In fact, I've been in the countryside for almost 20 years. I was also a rebel combatant and rebel leader. Well, in fact, I represent as part of the peace panel that signed the first document during the time of then President Erap Estrada. And now I am a congressman, and I have my oath to support all the commitments being made, not only by this present administration, but by all previous administration, because that is not a mere document. Peace agreement is not just a mere document. It is a commitment by the government. That's number one, Mr. Chairman. Number two, Mr. Chairman, this presidential proclamation, as I've said a while ago, was also pushed by the previous administration. In short, Mr. Chairman, taking into account the peace agreement between the RPMP, RPABB, which I formerly belong, that was 2000 December, that was signed. And now, this is now 2023. This is 20 years. But before I left my group, before I asked permission to them that I will run, and hopefully I can represent the marginalized sector, which I fought for during the martial law days. And they allow me, but 23 years. And I told them, if we have waited, especially during the final turnover of firearms and final destruction of all those firearms. And well, in fact, that was the incumbency of the former president, President Duterte, with, of course, Secretary Galvez. Now, I told them, if we have waited for the past 21 years, because that was 2020 or 2021, I forgot the exact year. Medyo edad na tayo. But I told them, if we have waited for almost 20 years, why we can't wait for a day? Why we can't wait for a minute? And now, here's now in front of me, the presidential proclamation being pushed to grant amnesty to all 4 groups. We have waited for the past several decades. Now, why we can't wait for this? And of course, again, my conclusion to this is a long overdue commitment of the government of the Republic of the Philippines. I will not fault the previous administration, but I hope that this presidential proclamation will be supported by all those elected, appointed, and career service officials of this government. Because again, as I've said, all peace agreement that was signed by the government is not just a mere document. It is a commitment by governments. And we have also to comply with all those international rules, laws with regards to peace agreements. Kaya nga, Mr. Chairman, ako, si Colonel Kerubin nga inaccuse pa na recidivist, of course. Twice siya binigyan. Mas mabilis lang sa kanya. Pero, former comrades, former rebel combatants, former rebel political cadres who are incarcerated as of now because the government filed common crimes against them. But of course, I understand it. That is part of the war, no, of the government against rebel groups and rebel leaders. But of course, for as long as they're qualified, they're suffering incarceration in prison for the past several years and even decades. And supposedly, their political and civil rights and liberties should have been given once again to them. Because they have already surrendered. In the case of all those CPP, NPA, NDF, former CPP, NPA, NDF, that has surrendered voluntarily. Much more on those rebel groups that the government signed a peace agreement. So, Mr. Chairman, again, I'd like to ask, not only, of course, this is a hearing, and I hope members of this Congress will support this proclamation. Being a former rebel leader, being a former member of the panel of peace negotiation between the government, the Republic of the Philippines, and my former group, the RPMP, RPABB, and of course, being a former CPP, NPA, leader and combatant. Because if we pass this, if we adopt this, if we concord this, and hopefully Senate will not once again oppose the approval of the proclamation with regards to the former CPP, NPA, NDF. I hope that the issues being raised by the Senate last Congress has already been resolved, so that this proclamation being pushed by the present administration will be implemented because it's only 2 years. 2 years lang daw yung application process. And for those again, and lastly, Mr. Chairman, for those again who oppose, I want again to reiterate, this is not capitulation of government to rebel groups. Well, in fact, even the ongoing peace negotiation, the resumption of peace negotiation with the CPP and PNDF, of course, again, I cannot comment on the details of that peace agreement, but the peace effort now of the government within the mainstream CPP and PNDF should be supported for as long as a new framework will be, and it should be informed in public. Now, how can we encourage the CPP, the mainstream CPP and PNDF? Kasi, ang amnesty proclamation kasi, ang granting of amnesty, for me, as a former rebel leader, yun yung pinakarurok. Yun yung pinaka-last na commitment ng government, no? That should be given to those groups. Ito yung pinaka-last eh. By restoring the political and civil rights of rebel combatants and rebel political cadres. When I say rebel political cadres, sa politika sila, but they are being charged in common crimes, with common crimes. Now, Mr. Chairman, lastly, Mr. Chairman, again, I would like to reiterate, and gusto ko lang pong diinan that I respect the opinion of those who opposes. But again, this is not capitulation by this government. This is an effort for peace, unity, and progress. And I myself, as a product of the peace agreement, being now a congressman in my last term, 4 na election po. But this is now my last term, and hope in my last term, this presidential proclamation granting amnesty for those 4 groups will be approved by this House or adopted by this House and concurred by the Senate, and hopefully after Christmas, we will start the implementation of this amnesty proclamation, of course, through the National Amnesty Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
for
you,
the
the
opportunity.
Honorable Paduano.
Mr. Chairman.
You will be the reason. Surely, if the applicants of the amnesty will become our competitors in the next election. So the minority leader is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, on the statement of the Honorable Craps Paduano when he stated that he's calling for government officials, elective and appointive, to support this measure. Sa tingin ko parang may naririnig o alam ang ating magiting na kongresista sa mga public officials na hindi sumusuportan nito. Mayroon po ba?
With due respect to, of course, I have to answer the query of the good minority leader. But what I'm saying, I am calling all. But of course, sabi ko na nga, with due respect to all those opinions by elected public officials, baka ill-advise. But tayo, as sabi ko lang tayo, as elected public officials, we take our oath to the people of this country and to this government, and we have to support. And again, of course, kahapon, nabasa ko sa balita, sabihin ko na lang, the good Vice President has a dissenting opinion with regards to this peace agreement. I respect her opinion. But of course, what I'm saying is, this is a matter of principle. This is a matter of commitment that all of us, elected public officials, career officials, appointed officials, should comply with our oath. And again, I will just reiterate, that this isn't an effort of the present administration. This is not an effort by President Bongbong Marcos. This is an effort made by the former president, no other than President Duterte, and the father of the vice president as of now. This is the commitment of all presidents since the time of President Cory Aquino, the late President Cory Aquino. And each and everyone should check ourselves. Yun lang pong challenge. We have to check ourselves as an elected, appointed, and career officials of this government. I hope the good minority leader will satisfy with my answer. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Of course, Mr. Chairman, I'm very much satisfied. That's why I was very bothered by the statement of the honorable congressman. Dahil tama po kayo, we are bounded by the same oath. Nasusundin ko ang mga batas, mga kautusang legal at mga dekretong pinaiiral ng mga sadyang itinakdang may kapangyarihan ng Republika ng Pilipinas. This is a proclamation. That's why the executive is bound to follow this proclamation. Where do we debate? Here in Congress, because that is again our function to debate on these matters. Dito lang pwede, hindi pwede sa labas. Kung nasa executive po kayo, you are bounded by the proclamation of the president. Hindi pwede natin ilabas ito. That's why we are sworn to uphold the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. Dito, may minority, may majorities para yung mga ibang views natin maipalabas dito. Pero iba yung role ng congressman dahil may sponsor, may contract kasi yung boses ng iba pwedeng ilabas dito. But end of the day, kung ano ang pagkaisahan natin, we are all bounded by that decision. In other words, kung mag-concur tayo lahat dito at mag-concur ang Senado, then yun na ho ang direksyon ng ating bansa. So, kailangan warning po ito sa ating mga government officials that we are bounded by the same oath at may violation tayo pag hindi natin sinunod ang ating oath dito. Marami pong
Thank you,
salamat, Mr.
Minority
Chairman.
Leader. The committee rest assured takes notes of the manifestation of the Honorable Minority Leader and the Honorable Baduano. The committee would like to proceed now to recognize the Honorable Luistro for your own interpellation or questions.
Thank
Let
you,
us be,
Mr. Chair.
by the way, to go quick in brief and concise, excepting the Honorable Paduano who was very emotional earlier. So go ahead, Honorable Luistro.
Good morning, everyone. Let me commend first the moving manifest. Now I truly understand where his courage and dedication is coming from. Of course, this representation strongly supports House Concurrent Resolution number 19, 20, 21, and 22, concurring to Proclamation number 403, 404, 405, and 406. And I truly commend His Excellency President Marcos Jr. for initiating this proclamation as a means to promote peace and unity of our nation. And I do take honor and pride to be a member of this joint committee because during my law school days, I only see amnesty in law books. Now, this representation, along with these esteemed colleagues, are living the spirit of amnesty. So for my interpellation, because I am very much concerned about those who wish to avail of the amnesty. And it appears that it is being granted to a group, as mentioned, the RMRP, RPA, ABB. We have the CCP, NPA, NDF. We have MILF and the MNLF. Can we request the chairperson of the National Amnesty Commission, perhaps, to explain in Filipino for the benefit of the people of the Philippines who wish to understand and avail of the benefit of this amnesty. What is its significance and how do we go with the process?
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that. Ay, maraming salamat po. Pasensya na po kayo kasi Bisaya po ako eh. Ilonggo po ako. Ganito po ma'am, ang amnesty kasi, 'di ba, binibigay ito, this is a parang political act ng isang presidente. Binibigay niya ito sa 4 na grupo na which are considered the rebel group. So RPMP, RPAABB, so and then we have the CPP, NPA, NDF, tapos meron tayong MILF, tsaka MNLF. Ang yung tatlo, yung CPP ay yung RPAABB, MILF, saka MNLF, meron na silang proclamation dati. Hindi lang na-process yung kanilang application kasi wala pa hong opisina nung panahon na yon. It is only during the time of President Marcos na na-appoint yung mga commissioners, saka ako naman po na-appoint ako itong January lang. So yun lang yung time na kami ay nag-establish ng aming office. Ang tumutulong po sa amin yung Office of the Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation and Unity. Pursuant po sa Executive Order 125, the OPAPRU will provide us with a secretariat. So with that, we have organized ourselves. So insofar, the DBM just gave us 33 coterminous positions. And then, but we have 20 consultants that will assist us because we need people as knowledge on the budget, the finance, and then also the personnel. So sa ngayon, we have a total of 53 warm bodies. At meron na rin ho kami na create na local amnesty board. Ito po nadatnan ko na lang kasi sila Secretary Galvez po ang nag-craft ng aming IRR, pero hindi pa po namin napapa-approve because nga nag-expire yung period to file the application. So kailangan magkaroon ng amendment as to the period. So in the meantime na hinihintay namin yung proclamations, yung bagong period for the filing of the application, we organize and strengthen the National Amnesty Commission. So meron na ho kaming local amnesty board that ang kanilang trabaho po ay mag-process, tatanggap ng application kasi kung ang applicants, ang MILF doon sa Cotabato City, so dapat meron kaming local amnesty board doon para accessible ang aming opisina sa kanila. The local amnesty board po is composed of 5 members. The different sectors sa locality. So far, ang identified namin na members are the local chief executive, and then we have the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, we have the National Prosecution Service, we have the AFP, the PNP, and then we have also representatives of the DILG, and we also have the religious group. So, pero 5 lang po ang pwede para ho pag nagbotohan, hindi patas. So may decision. And then may secretariat kami doon, 2 lang po yung binigay ng DBM na coterminous to the office. Others, contractual kasi siyempre kailangan po namin ng may knowledge sa batas kung ano ang mga crimes kasi kailangan ho nire-review. Kasi 'di ba sabi po nga kanina ni Congressman Paduano, ang ginagawa po ng ating security sector kasi ang fina-file nila na kaso common crimes. So kung mayroon tayong may knowledge sa batas, pag ni-review nila yung records of the case, malalaman nila na ito in pursuit of their political belief. So ma-recommend nila for amnesty. Ang ang aming National Amnesty Commission is working closely with the OPAPRO kasi sila ho ang nagpo-provide ng mga livelihood, social support. Ang sa amin po yung legal process na eventually those who applied for amnesty will be granted. Kami po ang magpa-process. Pero recommendatory lang po kami kay Presidente. Si Presidente po talaga ang mag-a-approve. In the meantime that they're applying for amnesty, tinutulungan na rin po sila ng OPAPRO. May mga peace table po ang OPAPRO na nag-a-assist sa National Amnesty Commission. Ganun po, ma'am. Maraming salamat.
Mr. Chair, may I confirm, does this amnesty applies to both convicted and those who are not yet convicted?
Yes, ma'am. Opo.
So may we know, ma'am, nasaan po itong location ng 5 local amnesty board which these people can approach for the purpose of availing the amnesty?
Sa ngayon po, ma'am, 9 ang aming na-establish na local amnesty board. We have not yet established in places for the CPP, NPA, NDF kasi hindi ho na-concur noon. So, hindi sila considered sa budget namin. So, sa ngayon po, we have the NCR, we have the Bacolod City, Iloilo City, we have Cotabato City, Davao, Pagadian, Cagayan de Oro, and Holosulu. Isabela Basilan pala.
Following your statement, ma'am, that it applies to both convicted and those who are not, then I suppose that not only people who are incarcerated already are qualified to apply, but even those who remains at large. Tama po ba?
Opo, ma'am. Kaya nga kahapon po, ma'am, nag-meeting kami with the Department of Justice kasi nga may mga gustong mag-apply ng amnesty pero hindi makalabas dahil may mga warrant of arrest.
That is true.
so
So that will be one of the challenges of the office who is promoting this amnesty process.
So, ang proposal po nila Secretary Galvez is that we provide provisional safe conduct pass to those who wants to apply for amnesty. And then pag nag-apply na sila at before the expiration of the temporary provisional amnesty for which is only 15 days, the National Amnesty Commission will issue safe conduct pass until the President acts on the application for amnesty. In the meantime naman po, ang Department of Justice, through the prosecutors, they will file a motion to defer proceedings and recall warrant of arrest in the meantime na pending yung kanilang amnesty application para po hindi magkaroon ng complications pagdating sa ating mga law enforcers. Kasi kung meron hawak ang law enforcers na warrant of arrest at yung isang applicant may hawak siya na application at safe conduct pass, magde-decision making pa kasi ang law enforcer. Sino ang susundin niya? Ang warrant of arrest or yung safe conduct pass? So that's why the Department of Justice, nag-commit po sila sa amin kahapon na they will issue directives sa kanilang prosecutors na ganun ang gagawin. So ang sunod po namin na task, kausapin naman namin yung court administrator, nagbigyan ng priority pag nag-apply ang prosecutor for this withdrawal or deferment of the proceedings.
I hope, ma'am, we can amply disseminate this information, no?
Opo, ma'am.
Kasi those people who are at large may not have access to internet.
Yes.
They do not have cable channels also. So I am really wondering how they will be informed on the safe conduct pass, including the recall of the warrant of arrest, which would provide them temporary liberty for the purpose of applying and availing the amnesty. So, maari din ho bang malaman what do we do for them to understand na meron hong mga ganitong pagkakataon sila to avail the amnesty?
Yes, ma'am. Ganito po, ma'am. Meron kaming communications team. Actually, ma'am, next week, magkakaroon kami ng workshop for the communications team because we will aside from the information dissemination, yung aming, ano ma'am, yung aming secretariat sa local amnesty board, usually ma'am, ito sila yung mga, like sa Basilan, yung isang member ng secretariat namin, anak ni Jerry Salapudin, yung isang member pa, anak naman daw siya ng commander. So alam nila kung saan itong mga tao. So pupuntahan po nila itong ma'am, yung mga tao, kung gusto nila mag-apply, and then they will be informed of their rights. Tapos ang isa pa namin gagawin ma'am, para marami, mag-caravan yung aming local amnesty board. Punta sila sa mga areas, ma-identify naman nila ma'am kung saan ang marami na numbers ng combatants na gusto na mag-apply for amnesty. And then we bring members of the local amnesty board with the secretariat, tapos para ma-receive na namin yung applications. Kasi once matanggap namin ang applications, mabigyan namin sila ng safe conduct path. So at least, tama, malalaman pala namin yung aming target areas, because ang peace table po ng OPAPRO mag-provide sa amin ng mapping kung saan ang mga tao.
Thank you for that very important information, ma'am. Mr. Chair, if I may proceed. Earlier po, si Secretary Galvez, he shared with us the transformation roadmap, which I truly appreciate, no? Kasi hindi po natatapos sa grant ng amnesty ang obligation ng government sa ating mga brother rebels, no? At meron lang ho akong hindi narinig kay Secretary Galvez. What support do we give in terms of education of the dependents of these grantees?
Your Honor, Mr. Chairman. can I-
Please go ahead.
Your Honor, we have interagency cooperation through EO 79. EO 79 creates the Intercabinet Cluster on Normalization. This is basically for the MILF, but we also applied this the same one-stop shop intercabinet agency, and also to provide the services for RPABB, the CPLA in North, and also for the MNLF. Yung ma'am, yung ginagawa po natin, we also partner with the different educational state universities. For example, we have now a partnership in MOA with the Mindanao State University. The Mindanao State University provided some services in terms of intensive research on the need assessment of the families, including education. And with that, we have a partnership with CHED, with Secretary De Vera, wherein we provided some investments on providing a scholarship, particularly to the family, to the family of the combatants.
Mr. Chair, I wish to give emphasis to the significance of education to the dependents of these grantees, no? Usually misorientation about the obligations of the government, the role of the government happens outside. Even the recruitment happens outside. So it will help a lot if the dependents of these grantees will be confined in an educational institution where they will be given formal training and education about the roles of the government in nation building and in supporting the Filipino citizens. So I am appealing to Secretary Galvez that I hope we can pay ample attention on this, that the dependents of the grantees of the amnesty will be given formal education in state colleges and universities.
Can we give some details? For example, for the granting of education, in coordination with the Ministry of Basic Higher Education with the BARM, we already
Magpapaalam na tayo, magpapaalam. Lipat tayo dito sa link na to. Sa isa kong live, lipat kayo sa isa kong live at umpisa na ang SMNI franchise hearing. Ha? Lipat tayo, lipat. At umpisa na ang ano ang yun nga, yung legislative franchise hearing ng SMNI, lipat tayo. Ibababa ko yung link ibababa ko yung link. Lipat kayo doon. Sandali Lipat kayo sa kabilang live. At umpisa na ang ang legislative franchise hearing ng SMNI. Lipat tayo. Dito tayo, lipat tayo rito. Ito yung link, yan Yan, lipat kayo dyan, lipat. Lipat kayo dyan sa link na yan. At mag-uumpisa tayo doon, mag-uumpisa. Sige na, bye-bye.